What's going on, you guys? So in this video, I'm going to be going over AMD and Amazon's new partnership, and I'm going to be kind of breaking down exactly what that means for AMD as a company and really how much, market share AMD can expect to gain from the server CPU space. This is pretty big news. But I do think that a lot of the news articles and a lot of what the other YouTubers here on YouTube are saying about, this partnership are a little misleading. And I just kind of wanted to go into, what the actual impact of this is going to be for AMD, at least from my perspective. And I'm going to be walking through, do I think AMD is still a buy? Do I think that, AMD is still worth about $25 a share? I'm going to go into my new price target and kind of go over all that today with just the news articles that came out and my redoing the research of the current cloud space and seeing how AMD is, when it's worked with other companies before and kind of how that's affected AMD. So I'm going to be going through all that today. But first off, I do want to apologize that this video is actually done yesterday when this news came out. And unfortunately, my mic broke. So for those of you that are kind of noticing the difference in sound quality right now, that is because I'm using my backup mic. I got through recording yesterday and started uploading it to YouTube. And then I clicked on the video just to preview it and then realized that none of my sound was there. So that's a bit upsetting, and I'll have to get a new mic because of that. But for right now, this is what I got to work with. And so if you guys did want to, kind of know exactly what I was doing with AMD anyways, make sure to check out my Instagram account. It's down in the description below. Now, that is essentially just for those of you who are, kind of want my opinion on what I'm doing in the market that day or what stocks I'm really paying attention to. When Starbucks dropped to about, $48 a share, I said that I was buying it. When AMD started its ascend, I put a story about that, how I was getting out of my position at 25. And then when I started buying shares again, I kind of did a quick story on when I was buying. And so I know a lot of you want me to do live trading, and I just can't do that feasibly. I can't make a video every time I go to do a video, especially with working. And so I work the general 9 to 5, so that's definitely not in the picture, in the cards. But if you do want my quick take on the market, I generally do a story every day or so, just kind of giving what stocks I'm looking at and how they're performing, and then if there's any big buy or big sell that I'm doing, I just throw it on Instagram. So without any more plugging to that account, let's go on to AMD and the new Amazon announcement. So AMD, has kind of been battered down from its all-time high. It was, chilling at about 32, and then it went down about 50%, and now it's back up. It's rebounding again. I talked about how I was going to be starting to buy shares again once this hit, kind of this low, high teen, low 20 range, and that's because AMD, my original target for AMD was $25 a share, and AMD, while it kind of got carried away, the actual fundamentals of the company were getting better. They weren't getting worse, and the company just had a major sell-off because of all the the FOMO and all of the trading that was going on around AMD. AMD as a hype trade like it normally does. And that was actually the main reason why I said that I sold out, is because the market's kind of getting ahead of itself. But now back at these levels, I'm pretty, comfortable investing in AMD again. I still think that AMD is now undervalued, and I think that anything under $25, especially anything under $20, is a pretty good bargain for AMD. So that's just a quick update with that. So I'm happy with my position. I didn't buy it at the very bottom, but I don't have a major position in it yet, because I think that this is unfortunately going to be more of a swing trade than a long-term investment. Mainly because I think that eventually, especially with news like this, if it continues to come out, AMD is going to kind of, get pumped up again from a lot of traders. And, what the fundamentals say and then what the market's going to be pricing in are just not going to equate again. And we could potentially have a repeat of what just happened a couple months ago. But anyways, this is big news for AMD, and I know a lot of you are AMD shareholders, so I just kind of wanted to give my opinion on it. So when this came out, AMD said that they are now partnering with Amazon, and the stock price went up. So this is 9% after dealing with that new information, which is great news. This is a really big partnership for AMD to have and kind of solidify. Now AMD has the biggest cloud players, so it used to just be focused on Microsoft was the biggest cloud company that was using AMD chips, and now Amazon, the quote-unquote biggest cloud company, and I'll get into that in a little bit, are now using their chips for some of their new servers, so that's a really good win for AMD. But a lot of people, especially the YouTubers, that I'll say don't really focus on this space or really pay attention to AMD or the market, or especially cloud computing in general, a lot of people tend to say that, okay, well, now that this partnership is happening, AMD is now going to be the sole proprietor of any new data centers that Amazon comes out with, and now AMD is going to be going up, skyrocketing from here. And not everybody's saying that, but there were a couple people that were leading their viewers, let's say, to that kind of conclusion, and I kind of wanted to just address all of that. So AMD, this is great news for AMD, but in the report that came out, and I'm assuming a lot of people when they went to do their reviews right after this news came out, just to get the views really quick, they failed to mention that while they are using some of AMD's no EPYC processors, Intel is still going to be using the quote unquote lion's share of semiconductors for the AWS cloud servers, and that's something that a lot of people just didn't pay attention. That does not take effect. This doesn't take away from the fact that AMD is now, going to be making a lot more money off of Amazon, and because of this, and it's able to start cracking into Intel's server share. That is just something I wanted to directly address before anything else. Is that this does not mean that all of the new servers that Amazon comes out with are going to be powered by AMD. Still going to be a relatively small percentage, but thankfully it is now happening, and AMD is starting to really get recognition for all the hard work it's been putting in the past couple of months, even the past couple of years now at this point. So that's really good, kind of going forward. Now, looking at this as a whole, so where is AMD now? AMD is now in the major cloud servers for Microsoft, Oracle, and Amazon. And so with Microsoft, that was about a year and a half ago, I'd say, when they announced Project Olympus. AMD was finally introduced with their EPYC chips into their Azure cloud computing server. And again, kind of the same thing that happened with Amazon is that even though the AMD was introduced, and that was a big bump for AMD as far as the revenue came in, the majority of CPUs that Microsoft was using were from Qualcomm and Intel for their combined efforts. So AMD is definitely not the majority shareholder in Microsoft either, but that is still one of the biggest cloud providers, giving reoccurring revenue to AMD, in the future, assuming they stick with AMD, to maintain all their servers and whatnot. Oracle, kind of the same situation. Oracle came out with their standard E2 platform. I forget the date on this, so you'll have to check it, and don't quote me on it, but I believe that this was earlier in 2018 or toward the end of 2017, because I believe that this came out after Microsoft started adopting AMD. And Oracle wanted to compete because Oracle doesn't have a huge market share in the cloud. They were trying to compete with lower end businesses, companies that are, say, worth less than, like, say, $2 billion. So, like all the small caps and below, like mom and pop shops. They wanted to have, a budget version of their original cloud computing services for those people. So they started using AMD's EPYC server chips in it instead of the Intel 86X, mainly because it was so much cheaper and it was 85+% of the performance. You are able to the ones for Oracle directly use a lot more RAM, so the performance is still definitely better on the Intel side if you were, say, going to choose either of the Oracle platforms. But that's not really anything about AMD or Intel. That's just the way that Oracle is selling it. But these are both, kind of big. All three of them are really big players for AMD, especially going forward, kind of solidifying its foot in the cloud server space. And one thing I did want to just throw out as a random tidbit, because I see this getting passed around a lot, is that Amazon is the biggest cloud provider. That's kind of right, that's kind of wrong. So if you just do Amazon's cloud versus, say, Microsoft Azure, yes, more people pay for Amazon's version than, say, the Azure cloud. That's because, one, Microsoft's Azure is much newer than Amazon's is, and Amazon also focuses on different markets, while Microsoft focuses on every possible platform that can go into. And the main reason why I say that this is a kind of a thing that you need to pay attention to is that Office 365 is technically a cloud system, and anybody that uses Office 365 can then convert that into either Azure or any other Microsoft-based cloud. So theoretically, any company that uses, say 365, or any individual that has Windows 10 and uses 365, your things can immediately go into Microsoft's cloud. So the infrastructure layout for Microsoft is much bigger than Amazon's. When you look at it as, like, the potential, say, like just what the roadmap currently is. But at least as far as dollar revenue goes, Amazon is still, the major cloud play. And although I will say that Microsoft is actually accelerating a lot faster, And if they continue the way that they're going and with a cool, kind of product segment that Microsoft's focusing on with Azure versus Amazon's AWS, I do believe Microsoft will be the biggest paid-for cloud provider in the next, say, 10 years. But that's just a random side note. Anyways, so how does this affect AMD? Realistically, it's hard to say just off of this, especially before the earnings come out and you don't see how exactly how that affects their revenue. But I will say that this kind of will give them up to a possibility of 5% more of, say, the total cloud market share that people are going off of, obviously, because Amazon is the biggest cloud play, and the fact that they're even getting a small portion of Amazon's newer servers. AMD has the ability to, say, grab an additional 5% or so, assuming Amazon keeps them in for the long term. And that's really important for AMD, because you have to think about how much smaller AMD is from Intel. A couple of percent, while it's not as sexy as what some analysts say that they can take 30%, 20%, or whatever, 5% is a massive amount of market share for a company the size of AMD to be able to gain. So that is huge news. And so with that, and this is completely just based off of this news and what I'm anticipating the revenue to be. So this is more of a speculative price target move. My original price target was about $25 a share. And now based off of this and based off of what I'm anticipating that means for AMD's penetration into the cloud server space, where Intel is directly focusing all of their efforts in right now. So it's interesting that AMD is now starting to gain more share as Intel needs to get their lives together. I am going to say that my price target is now going to be on the higher end of what it used to be. So it used to be, about $25 a share, and now I'm going to be saying it's closer to $30 a share for, baseline value. And that I need to keep in mind that does not include any possible mess ups from Intel or any possible mess ups from NVIDIA, because AMD is obviously trying to also get their graphics cards into a lot of these company servers. And that's going to really depend on AMD's new GPU lineup that they're coming out with, because NVIDIA's graphics cards are very expensive. They're really useful and they're very powerful, but they're very expensive. And if AMD is able to get, say, 80% of what the 1080 Ti was for their standard pricing, you're going to have a 1080 Ti for about a third of the price of the new 270 or 280 or 280 Ti. And a lot of people are probably just going to go with the AMD card. So that's just something to keep in mind. But if they do, like, say, a rebrand of Vega and their new Vega isn't, say, any better than their previous Vega, I don't think they're going to be getting any new market share. So all of that is still up in the air. But for right now, I'm still maintaining AMD as a buy. And I still think that AMD is currently undervalued. And I think that there is significant potential upside anywhere from, say, 20 to, say, 35% from current price levels. So it's definitely interesting. I still have a very small position in AMD right now. It's not what it used to be. And I don't know if it's ever going to become what it used to be again, because I do have a feeling that this is going to be a swing trade. I don't think this is going to be able to be an investment, unfortunately, mainly because I think that with all the hype that AMD normally gets, I think AMD's share price will be able to move up pretty exponentially in the short term, assuming no bad news comes out about it. I think if the news flow continues to be steady and the overall market seems to be optimistic, I would not be surprised if AMD is starting to hit the $30 to $40 range within, say, 6 months. So that's just a quick update with AMD. Hope you guys liked it. Again, sorry that I couldn't really, put the video out that I had made yesterday about this when it first came out. I wanted to kind of be relevant about these companies, but unfortunately my mic broke. So that's about it. Again, if you guys want to know exactly what I'm doing in the market on a daily basis, make sure to check out my Instagram. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know if you guys have any comments about AMD, or if you guys want me to take a different approach with analyzing this this kind of big information, the new information regarding Amazon. I know that you guys generally like when I cover AMD and Micron, especially on my channel above everything else, but I will say that I will have a video coming out soon about Starbucks, because I think Starbucks is on a roll right now, and obviously the share price is showing it. So stay tuned for that if you guys are interested in Starbucks. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a good day, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.